You know what's interesting about the building you sleep in every single night? You have probably paid for it already. Not once, not twice. You have paid for that building 2, maybe 3 times over, and you own exactly 0% of it. 0. And the man who does own it? He is on a beach somewhere, sipping something cold, watching your direct deposit hit his account like clockwork every single month. He did not work harder than you. He was not smarter than you. He simply understood a game that nobody sat down and explained to you. And today I'm going to explain it. My name is Auntie Pearl. I have the receipts. Every single one of them. Now, before we go any further, I need to say something clearly, because I respect your time too much to waste it. If you came here for somebody to tell you that renting is fine, that it gives you flexibility, that you're just not ready to buy yet, that renting makes sense in your market, baby, the door is right there. I am not going to comfort you today. I'm going to show you the math. And the math does not care about your feelings. It does not care about mine either. If you are ready to look at what is actually happening to your money, to your life, and to your future, then stay right here. Because what I am about to show you is going to make you furious. And furious is good. Furious means you are finally paying attention. Let me tell you how the machine works, because it is a beautiful machine. If you are the one who built it. Here is what happened in this country and in most countries around the world over the last 50 years. Land became the most protected asset on the planet. Governments give landlords tax deductions for the interest on their mortgage. They give them deductions for depreciation, which means the government pretends the building is losing value while it is actually doubling in price. They give them deductions for repairs, for management fees, for travel to visit the property. Meanwhile, you, the renter, get absolutely nothing. You cannot deduct your rent. You cannot build equity. You cannot borrow against it. You cannot pass it to your children. Every single dollar you hand over disappears into someone else's wealth machine. The system was not built this way by accident. Corazon. It was built this way on purpose. Because a person who rents forever is a person who must work forever. And a person who must work forever is a very obedient, very manageable human being. The real estate industry does not call you a tenant because it sounds polite. It calls you a tenant because that is what you are. Someone who is temporarily tolerated on land that will never, ever belong to you. And the banks, the developers, the property management companies, they all make money on the transaction of keeping you exactly where you are. The leasing agent makes a commission when you sign. The property management company takes 8 to 12% of your rent every month just to send a maintenance guy when the sink breaks. The landlord gets the appreciation, the tax benefits, and the cash flow. And you get a place to sleep that you will lose the moment you miss a payment. Now, let us talk about the receipts, because this is the part I need you to really sit with. I do not want you to hear these numbers and nod and keep scrolling. I want these numbers to live in your chest. The median rent in a mid-sized American city right now is around $1,400 a month. Some of you are paying more. Some of you, much more. But let us use $1,400 because it is honest and it is common. $1,400 a month. That is $16,800 a year. That is real money. That is somebody's salary in parts of this world. Now, let us say you have been renting since you were 22 years old. Very common, very normal, and you are now 35. That is 13 years of renting. Are you ready? 13 years multiplied by $16,800 is $218,400. Over $200,000. Gone. Not invested, not saved, not converted into an asset. Gone. And in exchange for that $218,000, you have received, and I want you to listen carefully, the right to continue paying rent next month, or leave. But it gets worse, querido. Because I have not even talked about what that money could have become. If instead of renting, you had put that $1,400 a month into a modest investment. Not the stock market, not crypto, nothing exotic. Just a simple low-cost index fund averaging 7% annually, which is historically conservative. After 13 years, you would have approximately $360,000. $360,000 of wealth, sitting and growing. Instead, your landlord has it, and his children will have it after him. Now let me convert this into something that will really sting, because I find that dollars are abstract, but time is not. How much do you make per hour? Let us use $25, which is roughly what a full-time worker making $52,000 a year earns. Your rent of $1,400 a month costs you 56 hours of your life every single month. 56 hours. That is almost a week and a half of your work life every month, handed directly to someone else's retirement account. Every year, you work 672 hours. Almost 4 full months of 40-hour work weeks, exclusively to pay your landlord. 4 months of your year. Every year. For something you will never own. And I want you to think about something else. Your landlord, in many cases, is not some billionaire corporation. Though they exist, and they are doing the same thing at scale. Your landlord might be a regular person, a teacher, a nurse, an accountant, someone who bought a house 20 years ago, refinanced it, used the equity to buy a second property, and let your rent pay off both mortgages. They are not evil geniuses. They just understood one rule that nobody teaches in school. Other people's money builds wealth, and the fastest way to use other people's money is to become a landlord. You are the other people, Mudo. You are the other people. Let me give you one more number, and then we will move on. The average American landlord with just 2 rental properties, just 2, generates enough passive income to cover their own living expenses by the time they are in their late 50s. 2 properties, paid for, largely, by tenants who worked full-time jobs and had nothing to show for it at the end. The landlord retires, the tenant keeps working. This is not a coincidence. This is the architecture of the system. Now let me show you how they sell this trap as freedom. Because this is the part that genuinely impresses me in the most infuriating way possible. The rental industry and its friends in media have spent decades rebranding permanent renting as a lifestyle choice. They call it flexibility. They tell you that renting means you can move whenever you want, that you are not tied down, that you are free. Free. They use that word with a straight face, while you write a check every month for the rest of your life to someone else. They tell young people that renting is smarter than buying because you are not ready. They publish articles about the hidden costs of homeownership, repairs, property taxes, maintenance, as if paying those costs toward your own asset is somehow worse than paying someone else's mortgage. It is a masterpiece of marketing. Love. Absolute masterpiece. They also invented the concept of the luxury rental. Have you noticed that? 30 years ago, nobody called an apartment luxury unless it had a doorman and a view of Central Park. Now they slap the word luxury on any building that has a gym and a rooftop, charge you $2,200 a month, and market it as a reward for your success. You are not a struggling renter, they tell you. You are a modern professional who values experiences over ownership. They took your financial exclusion and sold it back to you as an identity. And we bought it. Lord help us, a lot of us bought it. And do not get me started on the short-term rental platforms, the ones that convinced an entire generation that they should want to rent vacation homes instead of building equity. That paying someone else's mortgage for a week is called treating yourself. They gamified wealth transfer and put a beautiful interface on it, and we tipped the driver on the way out. All right, we have looked at the wound long enough. Let us talk about what you can actually do, because I did not come here to make you feel hopeless. Hopeless people do not take action, and I need you to take action. Here is your plan, and I am not going to pretend it is easy, because it is not. Anyone who tells you building wealth is easy is selling you something. The first thing you must do is get violently honest about your number. Not the number you think you need to buy a house, the real number. The actual down payment, the closing costs, the reserve fund. Sit down this week, not this month, this week, and calculate the exact dollar amount that stands between you and an owned asset. Most people have never done this. They assume it is impossibly large, so they never look. But a goal you cannot see is a goal you cannot reach. Look at the number. Write it down. Put it somewhere you see every day. Your brain cannot work toward a target it refuses to acknowledge. The second thing is you must treat your gap, the distance between what you earn and what you spend, as your most important financial metric. Not your salary, not your credit score, your gap. Because your gap is what builds the down payment. Your gap is what becomes the investment. Your gap is the only part of your financial life that you have real, immediate control over. This means making decisions that feel uncomfortable. It means looking at every subscription, every convenience, every habit, and asking, is this closing my gap or widening it? I am not telling you to live like you are in a recession forever. I am telling you to live deliberately for a defined period of time so that you can live freely for the rest of it. And the third thing, and this one requires the most courage because it requires you to have conversations most people avoid, is you need to investigate every possible entry point into ownership, including ones that were not explained to you. First-time buyer programs exist in nearly every state. Down payment assistance grants exist and go unclaimed every year because people do not know to ask. FHA loans require as little as 3.5% down. Co-buying with a family member or trusted friend is a legal and legitimate strategy that has built wealth for generations in communities that could not access traditional financing. You may not be as far from owning as you think you are, but you will never find the door if you have decided the room is locked. Here is what I need you to understand before you leave today. Choosing to own, to build, to refuse the rent forever trap is not just a financial decision. It is a political one. It is a declaration that your labor will compound in your favor, not someone else's. It is a refusal to participate in a system that was designed to extract from you and reward someone else. When you build equity, when you own an asset that appreciates, when you have a home that your children can inherit or that you can borrow against to start a business, you are breaking a cycle that someone, somewhere, is counting on you to stay in. Your landlord did not accidentally stumble into retirement while you work 3 jobs. That outcome was engineered, and it can be re-engineered, but only by you. Nobody is coming to explain this to you. I am old enough to know that. The school did not teach it. The bank does not want you to know it. The rental industry is certainly not going to mention it. So now you know. And knowing means you are responsible. What you do next is entirely up to you, Corazon. If this conversation opened something up for you, if you felt something shift, I need you to subscribe, because there is so much more where this came from. And I want to hear from you in the comments. Tell me, how many years have you been renting? And what is the number you came up with when you did the math? I read every single comment. Everyone. Now go do the calculation, and then go do something about it. This is Auntie Pearl. I will see you next time.